Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be when all you can do is watch from afar. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So this is a video I've waited quite a while to do, and what it is referring to is when you are out of the narcissistic relationship, or maybe you never were in a narcissistic relationship, and yet you are looking at another person who is in a narcissistic relationship, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't go up to them and tell them, hey, I think you're in a challenging relationship and check this video out or read this book. I think it'll enlighten you. Because if you were to do that, and maybe some of you have done that in the past, the person probably would not accept your words. They would probably say, I'm good, everything's fine, my relationship is good, it's solid, everything's good. But you know that something's wrong with their relationship, something's off. So now I'm gonna focus for a moment for you. When you were in the relationship, you did not know what was going on. If somebody had walked up to you in the middle of that relationship and they said, hey, I think you're in a challenging relationship, take a look at this. You may have looked at it, you may not have, but one thing I can assure you is that that period of time you were most likely in the trauma bond and you were in it too deep, so you couldn't wrap your head around, you couldn't fathom that the person perhaps that you fell in love with was trying to destroy you or take everything they possibly could from you. You now understand that because you're in the community, you're paying it forward, you're getting your cup full, and you now have the education which is priceless. You now know, because you've gone through the narcissistic abusive cycle, how challenging it was and how you had to put yourself back together. Now, when you zoom out for a moment, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, when you are looking, let's say it's a brother-in-law or sister-in-law or a sister or brother, you're looking at their relationship with the wisdom you've now acquired on narcissism because you've lived it. There are times you really want to go talk to that person and shake them up in a polite way and say, hey, this relationship isn't good. It's getting better. I'm watching your health deteriorate. I'm watching you're a shell of yourself. You're not who you used to be. You don't laugh any longer. You don't smile. You look like you're worn out. Now, if you were to say something like that to these people, remember, they are where you once were, which is in the narcissistic fog. And it is very, very hard and very challenging for people to wrap their head around that the person that they fell in love with, maybe even their own spouse, is not who they thought they were. So that's why you have to watch these relationships from afar. Now, I am not suggesting by any means to go talk to your, let's say it's your brother or sister who is in a narcissistic relationship and you now know that they're in one. But I am not suggesting to go talk to them about it. What I'm suggesting is if they are coming to you and approaching you and saying, hey, I think something's really off here, I can't quite figure it out, but I'm not being treated properly, that's the path I would take if they open the door up to you. Now again, there's no right or wrong answer here. You can do whatever you want. I'm just simply guiding you along the path with my wisdom and my experience. Because if you were to tell, let's say it's your sister or brother who's in the narcissistic relationship and they've been in it for years, they're married, let's say, if you were to tell them that, there is a high likelihood or a likelihood that they will tell their spouse what you had said, and then now you're excommunicated. Now you're cut off from them, and then maybe you were the only life raft that they had. I really hope you understand that. The point being is you have to tread lightly and tread carefully. Once you've identified that, let's say one of your friends or siblings is in a narcissistic relationship, if you want to go grab that cup of coffee with them and talk to them about it and try and explain things to them, go for it. Do what you need to do. But understand there will be a risk if you do that. There's a risk that they're in it so deep that A, they won't understand what you're talking about. B, they'll deny it. C, they'll take that conversation and share it back with the narcissist. The next thing you know, the narcissist will not be communicating with you at all. You'll be cut off. That's why so frequently, if you think about parental alienation, or if you are a grandparent or a great-grandparent and you're not allowed to see the kids these days, what is going on there? Well, what's going on, there are multiple things, but one aspect is that you most likely were trying to build those kids up and spending quality time with them, but the narcissist was trying to drive a wedge between you and the kids or the grandkids. They didn't want you to see them because they're trying to isolate you and make you pay a price for being you. This is an example of why you're going to have to watch the grandkids or the great-grandkids from afar. Now, how to do that? There are multiple ways to do it. One way I'll just share with you is wherever you are, let's say the grandkids or the great-grandkids are halfway across the world or country. Well, and let's say you're now cut off from access to them. Okay, and this happens each and every day on the planet. It's happening right now as I'm creating this video, and it's happening right now as you're consuming it. But if that's your situation, or if you understand someone that you know is experiencing that, what the path is there is to understand that you can still love them from afar. You can hope that they return back to you one day and that they want to strike up communication with you. Now, there's no guarantee in life. No one's guaranteed to be here tomorrow. So we don't know if these kids or grandkids, when they grow up, if they will contact you. I can't tell you that. What I can tell you is the further they break free from the narcissistic parent, the more time they will have to pause and slow their life down and make their own informed decisions. But until that day happens, or maybe it never happens, they will be under the thumb of the narcissist, and the narcissist knows this. So let's take a child as an example. Let's say the kids are 17, 18, 20, in that ballpark. If they are, and they can be much younger too, but I'm talking about young adults here. If those kids are still being controlled by the narcissist financially, and they're being a roof is being provided for them by the narcissist, well, the narcissist has them where they want them. So what the kids are going to have to do is either go to university and compare their upbringing with other kids or students, or they're going to have to get a job and find their way out of the nest if they have the ability to do that. Not each and every one of us has that ability. Many of us are currently living under circumstances where we are not accustomed to living, and the children of the narcissist are exactly that many times. Not always, but many times. So understanding that you can watch the relationship from afar, what that means is you spent time with the kids or the grandkids, and what you did is you raised them properly, and you taught them right from wrong, and you were there for them. You educated them on life, and that not everyone has your best interest at heart, and you should really watch who you share your information with, and you need to have boundaries, and you need to trust your instincts and your intuition and pay attention to red flags. If these kids now have taken the tools that you've applied with them, and they've had the power or the strength or the fortitude or the resilience to break free from the narcissistic abusive cycle, again, maybe it's one of their parents, maybe it's both of their parents, but if they've done that, then this is their path. They've done what they needed to do to get to wherever they are. But if they haven't, and they're still under the thumb of the narcissist, there's nothing you can do about that. So it goes back to what I mentioned in videos so frequently. We need to control what we can control. And what we can control post-narcissistic relationship is who we communicate with, who we don't, what we do, when we do it, with whom that we do anything with. We slow our lives down, we heal, we process things, we journal, we meditate. We understand that we were in a relationship that almost took us down, but it didn't. And now we're here. We are now living an abundant, beautiful, bright, shining light life. Or at least that's my hope, that if you're not at the pinnacle of indifference yet, my hope is you're headed there, which is when you no longer care about the narcissist or any people associated with them from that period of time, unless people supported you and checked in on you, which I doubt many people did. They certainly didn't with me, but if they did with you, God bless you. Perhaps you have some good, beautiful people in your life. Now, all of these things I'm sharing, remember, when you control what you can control, that is, I'm referring to communication now. So let's say that the narcissist is using parental alienation on your own kids or your grandkids, whatever, they're interchangeable. Now you can contact the kids if you want to. These are young adults I'm referring to, 18, 19, 20. Legal age is what I'm referring to. And if the kids decide to communicate with you, that's up to them. If they don't, they won't. But what I'm suggesting here is for this, and I'm gonna get back to the thumbnail, is for this part of the video, let the kids figure out what's going on their own. Don't call the person the narcissist. Don't blame shift them. I didn't mean blame shift them. Don't call them out and tell them that their parent perhaps is the narcissist. That's not the path. What the path is let the kids figure this out on their own and come back to you if they want to do that. I hope you understand that. So the other part that I'm sharing with you is, if your brother, sister, your neighbor, whomever, is a coworker, is in a narcissistic relationship, and you know that, and you're pretty sure it's a toxic relationship. We don't have to use the word narcissism there, but it's a challenging relationship. And this person, they have bags under their eyes, they're not getting sleep, they're putting weight on or losing weight, and you ask them what's going on. Hey, you know, you're not doing that well at work these days. What's up? What's going on? And they're telling you that something's not quite right at home. Well, that's red flag number one. Now, each and every one of us experience challenging parts of our lives, and the narcissistic abusive cycle is certainly something that you went through, definitely something I went through. But this person may be going through it and may not even know it. And there's a higher likelihood of that actually happening than them knowing that they're in a narcissistic relationship and deciding to stay in it. See, the wisdom is a huge thing to acquire. And you acquired the wisdom most likely post-narcissistic relationship, or some of you, I know for a fact, have acquired the wisdom while you're still married to the narcissist, and you still have to live under the same roof as them, and because there are children involved, and you have to wait till the children turns to be a certain age, then you're going to break free. You're developing an exit plan, and you're going to execute it. That is what you must do. And maybe today's not the day. Maybe the day is in a year. Maybe it's in 3 years, but you have an exit plan. And I have talked about exit plans recently an awful lot, because when you're in a relationship with a toxic individual and you know you need to remove yourself from it because your health is taking a hit, your finances are taking a hit, you don't want to go home at night, you stay out later after work going to the gym and exercising, or going to a library because you don't want to see the narcissist, and you hope that when you open the front door they're asleep, so then you're going to get some peace and quiet, at least until they wake up and blame shift you for something that you did or didn't do. But when that's your life, you need to really understand that removing yourself is the path if you have the ability, but you're staying in it for the kids. So now going back to the coworker, the illustration I shared with you, this person probably doesn't know what kind of relationship they're in. Now again, if you want to give them literature or a video, that's up to you. I personally, if it's an acquaintance, I'm not so sure that you want to do that or you don't. It's an individual decision. What I'm saying to you again is, when you were in it too deep, if someone had given you a video, would you have watched it? I can't tell you if you would have or wouldn't have, but I can almost assure you no one sent you a video. No one sent you a link and said, hey, I think this is what's going on with you. You may want to look into it. Keep that in mind. Another thing is, many times, this is a pivotal part. Understand this. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That is a very famous line, and it is never more evident when you figure out what narcissism is, because you've probably seen the narcissistic behavior around your life from maybe at an early young age. And now when you get the wisdom, which is you find the needle in the haystack, what narcissistic abuse is, that's when you were ready to get the message. Not everybody is ready to get the message. Not everybody gets the message. Not everybody applies the tools of the message. Not everybody can go no contact, block the narcissist, delete them, and remove them and all flying monkeys and people associated with them. It doesn't work like that. It's not one size fits all. There are different nuances to each and every relationship, specifically the narcissistic relationship, because maybe it's your mom and you need to stay tethered to her because you're financially dependent upon her. Maybe it's your neighbor who just married the narcissist and they relocated from halfway around the globe, and now they're your next door neighbor, but that person doesn't even know what they're up against, but you can tell that their spouse is the narcissist within the first week just by the way that they're flirting with you, or batting their eyelashes, or the clothes they're wearing, or what they're talking to you about. The narcissist is everywhere. They're all over the globe. The path, once you get the wisdom, is to apply the tools and have boundaries, to not be a people pleaser, to know when to say something and to know when to not say something. Because people that are in narcissistic relationships usually do not know they're in it until A, it's too late, or until B, they finally are so beaten down that they can't wrap their head around who the person was that they loved or do love, how they could do all these damaging and hurtful things to them. The reason why they could do it is because the narcissist doesn't care about anybody but themselves. We now know that. We understand it. We also know that narcissists can't fall in love, and they have no empathy. They care about only taking from unsuspecting individuals or recycled people. But when you're looking at a relationship from afar, it is very hard to do that sometimes. And the reason why I say that is, let's take a holiday, a big holiday as an example. Everyone's getting together. And you are attending, but this is post-narcissistic relationships. You now have the wisdom. You know what's going on, and you're living your best life. And you go to that dinner, and now you can see the narcissist in multiple in-laws or multiple brothers or sisters or people that attend that event. And what you're saying to yourself is, wow, this is so hard to watch, how the one spouse is treating the other spouse, and how the one spouse is flirting or triangulating their spouse with other people, or how the one spouse is not even talking to the other spouse, or how the one spouse is sitting in a chair in the corner basically just looking dumbfounded as the other spouse is over in the main kitchen area and they're laughing it up and telling jokes and everything. You can identify this poor behavior left, right, and center once you come through the fire and you rise through the ashes like a phoenix and you put yourself back together, because this is a superpower. It's a superpower on steroids once you conquer the narcissistic abusive cycle and you practice radical acceptance and you understand that there was no other way. You had to go through that relationship. Did you want to go through it? No. but you had to. There was no other way. This was your path. It was your destiny. And it's not a fun part to go through, but once you make it, you're going to realize that the superpower, it really, really is a superpower that you cannot buy in any college class, and you can't acquire it reading a book. Either you went through it or you didn't. And my hope is honestly that you didn't go through it. But if you did, you're here with me. My hope is you're reaching that pinnacle of indifference. But going back to that event, you will be identifying rather quickly who is being treated properly, who is being made fun of, who is a scapegoat, who is the punching bag, who is the unpaid helper, who is the walking apology, who is the errand person. You can see these things plain as day. And when you see them, it doesn't behoove you. When you see these things, sometimes you want to pull the person aside and say, hey, you know, I think you really are not in a good relationship here. You may want to, but my suggestion is to not do that. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear, which means when that person's ready to get the message, and it probably will be when they've gone through more challenging experiences, then they will get the message, if they get it at all. If you were to intervene and tell them what you think, then you're going to be rocking the boat, and you're going to be really creating a shift in the energy of their life. That is not what I would do. I'm going to throw one more caveat at you, as I mentioned a little while ago. If that same person who's at that event, that holiday, you've identified that they're in a challenging relationship and the behavior of their spouse is just, it's abhorrible. It's terrible. If that person approached you and said, hey, you know what? I don't know what's going on here, but something's off. Like I'm not being treated properly. Do you have any insight or anything? First of all, they probably wouldn't do that. But second of all, if they did, then that opens the door and it allows you to perhaps shed a little bit of light on their relationship. Again, everyone is on this planet by themselves. Everybody gets in relationships. Everyone enters solid relationships and not so good relationships, and some of us enter narcissistic relationships. The thing is, you will not be ready to receive the message until you're ready. And usually, again, that's when the relationship has already fallen apart and you're so beaten down, and perhaps you even get discarded, and then you have nowhere to turn, and all of your support system is blown up and you don't know what to do. And then most of us, or a lot of us, and maybe not most of us, but a lot of us, that's when we turn to YouTube and we type in the search engine or the browser, spouse won't talk to me, or rage fit or something, and then there you go. That you get the education and the exploration on the narcissistic abusive cycle, but you weren't ready to get it until something broke, and what broke was that narcissistic relationship. That is exactly my path, and that probably is your path. That's how you discovered it one way or the other. So when you have to watch these relationships from afar, I gave you a couple different examples. Parental alienation, or if you're a grandparent or great-grandparent, that is done on purpose to inflict some damage to you. But you can still love the kids, the grandkids, from afar. You can still keep them in your heart and say prayers for them and hope that they return back to you one day. I can't tell you if they will or they won't. That's up to them. And the other example would be with the neighbor, or with the a brother, sister, or coworker, one of these people who you know they're in a challenging relationship, but they don't know it. The path there is, if they approach you and they want to ask you some questions, which I honestly don't think they will, but maybe they will, then you can, that allows you the green light to share some information with them if you choose to do it. If you don't, then you don't. This is your path. You need to understand that after the narcissistic relationship, your life has slowed down a lot. And one thing you don't have is drama or chaos or confusion or gaslighting or stonewalling or the silent treatment. All those things are in the past now. They're done. So you need to really be smart and wise and figure out if you want to communicate with somebody about the relationship they're in, or if you don't. Again, if they approach you, that's a little different story, because they're asking you a question and perhaps they're getting the sensation or the feeling that you do have the answer. And if you do and you want to share it, you share it. Now, I reinforce the same thing multiple times in this video. It's on purpose. It's because those of us who have exited the narcissistic relationship, we now know there are casualties of the relationship littered all throughout that relationship. And kids and children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren are certainly some of those people. So are moms, dads, aunts, uncles, brothers, and romantic interests and alleged friends, all these things. But the point is once you slow your life down post-narcissistic relationship and you heal properly in your time, when you do that, you need to let the abundance flow through you. And if somebody communicates with you, that is up to you whether you want to communicate with them or not. I'm not referring to the narcissist. I'm referring to great-grandkids or grandkids or a neighbor or a brother or a sister who's in a narcissistic relationship. That's what I'm referring to. If you want to share your wisdom and insight, do it. But I would not do it unsolicited. That is me. That's my stance. And you can drop comments below with what your experience was, or if you've identified that, in fact, yeah, maybe your coworker is in a toxic relationship. You saw he or she at the company party and they were being treated rather poorly, and this is now the 5th year in a row it's happened. So if it's happening at the company Christmas party or whatever, it's probably happening behind closed doors. It's just that that person doesn't have the wisdom. Everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. Remember that, you are not alone. I want to let you all know that post-narcissistic relationship, so many of us are in our third version of ourselves, the most strongest galvanized version of ourselves possible. And the 3 versions are the version of you before you met the narcissist, when everything was, you're probably looking at life through rose-tinted glasses. The version of you when you were in the narcissistic relationship, when you were being devalued. And the 3rd version of you is the best version of you known to yourself, because this is when you are toxic free, you've healed, you've taken the lifelong learning lessons from the relationship and you apply them to present day. And if that is you, please understand that you are a very special and fortunate and resilient person. This video is meant to let you know, if I broke the trauma bond and broke the narcissistic abusive cycle and I've healed, you can too. That is the path. And with your wisdom, with the superpower that you now have, you need to understand it. It is a superpower. Use it if you want to, but use it wisely and only when you know it's going to benefit someone. If not, keep your boundaries up and keep on living your best life. I love you all. God bless you. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right. Bye, guys. I can't turn the camera off.